One, action. Peace. We're back with another episode of Politics and Black Families. I'm here with Iman Ramadan. I got it, right?
Finally, you got it.
How long have I been trying to get your name together?
I don't know, 3 or 4 takes now.
Let's try 3 or 4 years, guys.
Yeah.
But no,
yeah,
I'm happy you came to join us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I was a little
Busy?
okay.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Let's
was
go
busy.
with that. Let's go with that.
But you know, I had to really get your take because we are living in a world where fashion meets culture, meets politics. It's such a big thing. When I think of fashion, I think of my friends. And I have a tons of friends that do fashion, but you always come to mind.
Do I?
Yeah, you have a very unique fashion. You have taste.
I appreciate that.
The Fresh Hotel is what we call it, right?
And that's what we call it.
All right, so tell me about the Fresh Hotel. What is the Fresh Hotel?
It's a company I started. Oh my God! Every time it's like the years just keep rolling by. I can't ever remember. So I like the amount of time, but I guess it was like 2008.
Yeah.
It started with a blog for Essence Online
Yeah.
magazine, called The Fresh Hotel, and it was a fashion blog, and it transitioned from that to someone at an Essence event, oddly enough, asking me if I would help her.
Yeah.
And I never had any intention on like going into the fashion business because I'm actually a singer.
Yeah.
And at the time I was pursuing that.
Yeah. And she can blow you. Pause. She can really do it. Like, she's good. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. So she said, "Would you help me? And I'll pay you." And I was like, the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made
kept
that decision.
Me too.
Let's talk about like current fashion, right? What do you see out here that gets you excited? And what do you see out here where you like, let's kill this quickly? Like, it's not going anywhere.
Oh gosh.
Or do you feel that at all?
I always feel that. I guess the first thing that comes to mind that I want to kill are the opera gloves. I'm just so sick of those on red
I
carpets.
second that.
Like over it. But so for me, my style is typically influenced by my values. I don't really go to what's everyone doing. My favorite, I would say, style description would be sophistication. Even when I'm exploring other cultures, exploring different styles, I like it to always have a polished finish somewhere. No matter what it is, even if it's just accessories, jewelry, hair, shoes, somewhere in the look, I like the signal of I'm a bit refined.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's not to say that that's for everybody because I don't necessarily dress everyone that way.
Yeah.
Style is a very individual journey.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Indeed.
Everybody, can't pull off what someone else can pull off. In
Indeed.
fact, I hate when someone says, "Can you make me look like her?"
Yeah.
It's kind of like, no.
It's like individuality, right? You try to give somebody that individuality.
100%.
Let me ask you this question. What is the difference between style and taste? Is
Well,
there a difference?
Yes. I think that style is about creativity and taste is about exposure, background, well-traveled, well-spoken, well-educated.
Yeah.
Taste is influenced
That
by those
culture
things.
I get you.
Exactly. But that, again, just my idea. But for me, the way I approach fashion is, I'm Muslim, as you know. So I start from when I'm dressing myself, my number one thing is modesty first. So although I'm not, as they refer to right now as a hijabi, shout out to the hijabis.
Yeah.
I do cover, obviously in times of prayer and, specific Islamic events, etc. I work really hard to still, display my creativity through fashion and textures and style, but I still try to maintain things that
modesty.
align with my religious values,
Yeah.
which is modesty.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, and I guess I say I can appreciate it because anytime you look at a person's work and you can see a part of them in their work, I think it's important, and it gets close to like why it becomes art, right? Like you style somebody, but that was a look, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't just, it was classic. It showed the taste, and it was timeless. So
Yeah.
when you think about culture, especially Muslim culture and modesty, how important is that as far as your way of life, like using modesty? how you negotiate, how you deal, the jobs you take, things. You know, if somebody say, "Yeah, I want you to do Sexy Red," how do you make Sexy Red modest?
That's exactly that. Sexy Red probably wouldn't enjoy.
Oh, I get you. I get
She
you.
wouldn't hire me.
Yeah, yeah,
That's basically what I'm trying to say.
I get you.
I'm not the one for her, just because I try to have integrity in my work.
Yeah.
Like, I want to love it. And although there are very many outfits that I have put on clients that I wouldn't personally wear, I'm still able to stylize it, make it their own. And even though it may be a little more risque than something I would particularly adorn on my body, I'm able to do that within reason.
Yeah.
Sexy Red might be way off the
Well, I
scale,
think, you know, because
scale
sometimes,
for me.
I guess I ask you because
No
everybody,
offense.
you know.
Shout out to Sexy.
Yeah, shout out to Sexy, because I think that, you know, it's something for everybody, of course,
Yeah,
right? And I
yeah,
think
something for everybody.
sometimes artists grow up, right? And they start saying, you know, when I was 21, I didn't understand it, but I understand it more at 30 that I do want this look, right? And then, you know, I think we see it in a lot of our favorite artists, even as like rappers. Sometimes you're like, yeah, I seen Jay grow up. That's what we kind of like about him. So I think, you know, Sexy can make that turn, right? I still love her as she is, but
She could.
Fresh Hotel can still touch it and make it.
Hey, if at any chance you want to be a little more modest, sexy, holla.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. How does being from New York play into your
Oh my
ideas
God.
around fashion?
Oh my God.
What?
It's the fashion capital of the world. It starts there. It's Fashion Week right now, actually,
Yeah.
in New York. It's just that I tell people all the time, you know, New York City is a melting pot. So what other people from different parts of the country would have to buy, you know, tickets
Yeah.
to go around and see, we can just walk through Manhattan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole world comes
Yeah,
to us.
yeah, yeah, indeed.
So I can be influenced by, you know, Asian culture, Indian culture,
Yeah.
African culture, you know, African American culture,
Yeah.
Hispanic. Everybody's there.
Yeah, yeah.
So whatever it is that you offer to the world,
Yeah,
I've been able to be inspired by
yeah, yeah.
and turn that into something creative.
Yeah, do you think
whatever
people
I'm
sleep
doing.
on, like, when you said Asian culture, I think they have some of the dopest work. I be like, when I
Art
see
and
like
fashion,
especially
yes.
especially when you look at like Japanese culture, I'm like, yo,
Amazing.
they slept on. I don't know why. I feel like it should be much more, because a lot of it is just like, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just groundbreaking, especially some of the underground designers, because they love like art culture or music culture, and you see it show up.
Everybody loves our culture.
So you
It's
can
not-
say that
it's-
again.
There's
Say that.
Palestinians breakdancing right now on top of rubble. Seriously, there was
That's
a
a fact.
video
I
going
seen that.
around
Yeah.
of children, Palestinian children, looking to lift their spirits, listening to our music, and dancing like
Why
us.
is that?
What do you mean?
Why
are we so impactful?
Well, not why we are so. Why does the culture like transcend barriers that way? Is it the same pain? Is it the shared experiences? Is it the originality? What makes it like?
I don't think it's just about pain. I think it's just a matter of the talent is just that special. Like, we are a special people with a special history, and you know, pressure makes diamonds.
It glows.
We glowing.
It
We
glows.
glow.
I received that. I think when you look at black culture, and I'm gonna say with hip hop, and I just look at how far hip hop has traveled, right? And you look at, like, sometimes I find myself on YouTube looking at some places I've never traveled, but just hip hop is already there. Like, it shows up, the Cuban links, the Korea, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, no matter where you are, like, it's there. And I'm like, wow, we went from a neighborhood in the Bronx all the way, you know, in just 50 years. So
I'm glad you said that, because it's been a fight about, you know,
Well, where it's from?
where hip hop has started. Exactly.
Let's talk about it.
I don't want to waste our time
No,
with
no,
that.
no, please.
I'm from New York. You know how I feel.
where is
So
it from?
let's not even go there.
Well, I heard the conversation
You
too.
start the Bronx, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you.
Now, when you think of hip hop culture, can we go back into, like, since it has so many elements of like blues and jazz, would you have to see where that came from as well?
I mean, yes, there's a root to everything. Nothing was, you know,
Yeah, but I know.
nothing comes from out of thin air.
Well,
right?
what are
I mean,
people countering it that it came from where? L.A.
I don't know. I heard like something about I think it was Fat Joe was saying it came that
Yeah.
maybe Puerto Rico, or that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hispanics were
Oh, yeah,
the
I understand.
originators of.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with the argument. I just
Yeah.
heard it in some
Yeah.
chatter, and I dismissed it
Well, I think
immediately.
it got dismissed because I mean,
'Cause I'm like,
yeah. 'Cause
okay.
I think when you look at the pillars of hip hop, and you look at breakdance, and you look at graffiti, you look at fashion, you look at DJ, and you look at MCing, if you know the culture, because I grew up in it and I love it, and it's so much of
As
it.
did I.
Yeah, I think that you have to give it back to the Bronx because it all leads back to the Bronx when you talk about those elements.
No argument
But
here.
yeah, it happens. So let's move on here, though, right? Let me talk about this. Fashion politics. Is there a
How'd you
marriage?
make that pivot?
Well, because I want to because I think sometimes you see when I was watching these shows, Fashion Week, and I'm watching them on YouTube, and I see all of these designers, and a lot of their looks are becoming much more political in the messaging of the clothes, right? Do you think that is on purpose, or you think it's just the way of the world, current?
I think it's the way of the world. I think this generation is moving into a more conscious space, where even our art, like music and fashion, are heavily being impacted
Yeah.
by what's going on around the world. And I think there's been cycles of that just in history where, you got like sleepers and dreamers and then they wake up, and then sleepers and dreamers and then they wake
Yeah.
up. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I think like, our parents in the 60s and 70s, the way they wore their hair, the afros, that black and I'm proud, and,
Yeah.
all of that, they were a lot,
Yeah.
it was cool to be conscious,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That was their thing.
We wear our art. It
Yeah,
defined-
we wore our art,
Yeah.
our music. There was so much message music at that
Yeah.
time. And then I think we kind of went to more of a relaxation period,
Yeah.
80s and 90s, where we were kind of becoming more affluent and, all this inclusion, et cetera, et cetera. And, maybe the art was a little bit more celebratory
Yeah. Yeah.
than conscious.
Yeah. Do you got any designers that you think are doing a good job or making these statements? What's your favorite designer right now that you see?
I'm really about giving, you know me really well.
Yeah.
I'm about the black man and the preservation of
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Do your thing. That's what we're here for.
So I am really loving Christopher John Rogers, Fee Noel, who's actually a really good friend of mine. Shout out to her, out of Brooklyn, New York. I love all of her work. I love how inspiring she is and how much she puts her own individuality and culture into the pieces. Charles Harbison right now, I have to give a great shout out to, who's doing a custom piece right now for one of my clients, who's going to shoot in New York next week for a Bravo television show. I'm just really impressed with, I think, the platform and I think the belief in these black designers that it seems to be
it's a big thing right
turning
now.
to. It's just that, the business of fashion is really tough. And unfortunately, we are last on the totem pole when it comes to funding and investing.
Yeah.
And then, marketing and, just the opportunities that are given.
Why is that? Like, is it because a lot of the money don't flow in our direction, or is it?
I mean, we don't have money as a people. Like, we have money, but it's not it's not generational like that. Where we don't have the amount of money where we can just make it rain on every
acquire
black business.
a company and just let it be.
Exactly. This is we're
Building.
still building. It's still a struggling generation. You know what I mean? Like just trying to do for self, which which brings us to one of your themes you got going on right now.
Do for self is a big thing within politics of black families. We think that we could work together and collectively build these communities together, small businesses, family businesses, entrepreneurs, thought leaders. We can really, really, really control that $2 trillion in spending power and more in our communities. And I think it's nothing more inclusive, exclusive than doing for self.
Which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy Atlanta.
Enjoy Atlanta.
I enjoy Atlanta because, I find that so many outside states and cities, the major cities, New York, Chicago, LA, they have this picture or understanding about black people in Atlanta. Like we're all doing what's on a reality show. And that's no diss to anybody on a reality show, but that is not the heart and meat of the city of Atlanta and why it's actually so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that it is intentional that they market and promote the city of Atlanta
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah.
Because if the rest of the world, dare I say, knew just how important Atlanta and its progression is for us, we might be getting bombs dropped on us like Tulsa. I'm just saying.
Well, and also I think
it's like it's really moving. The
Yeah.
black professionals, politicians, just the opportunities that we have here in Atlanta as African Americans.
yeah.
There's no other city like it.
Yeah. Do you think two things came to mind as you were saying that? Do you think that there should be more cities like Atlanta throughout the U.S. and is it possible? Like, is it in the water, or can we have this version in Ohio? Or
I think that's speeding. I think that they gotta all get together in one place first, and because Atlanta is leading in that category,
yeah,
it really harms them
yeah,
and stifles them to stay spread throughout. Sure, we've got black influence and money and politicians sprinkled throughout the country.
yeah,
But that's the reason why it's not making the noise and moving as fast as it could be moving
yeah,
if they were unifying.
yeah. Unity. That's a unifying. Let's stay right there. Do you think when it comes to Black Americans voting, do you think it should be a unified vote, or do you think we should have partisan politics?
I think that a unified vote would absolutely be in our best interest. But the problem is we are really, I'm choosing my words really, really carefully.
It's okay.
You know why?
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't defend my people. I love my people. But
let's be honest. We here. We with the family, so let's talk.
They have a really, really hard time not being distracted and bamboozled.
Bamboozled.
Like they're the
What's bamboozled?
Bamboozled is, look at what's under my shirt.
Tricked?
Look over here.
Yeah.
He tricked.
Yeah, tricked.
They have a really hard time cutting through the noise and seeing the bigger picture. You know what I mean? They get very caught up on emotion. Like my dad pointed out in one of your other interviews about your boy Trump being a racist. It's like, how I feel. You'd be hard pressed to find very many of them that are not. So once we put that aside, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of what are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
Because if I'm electing you, there should be some exchange. I'm not electing you based on your morals.
Yeah.
I'm not, because very few politicians are in place because of their
Moral compass.
moral compass.
What are they in place for?
Power.
So politics is a war over power.
Absolutely.
So do Black Americans need to get some?
Black Americans always need to get some power, but it starts from a place of unity. You have to get together and have an agenda. It can't be you, I think this way, and I think that way, and you're voting this way, and I'm voting that way.
So before you have the momentum, you need to have the organization.
You need priorities.
Priorities.
You need priorities. Absolutely. I'm not saying that, you're a Christian and I'm a Muslim, that we need to vote for, should a church be erected here or a mosque. No. You're black and I'm black. Let's start with our priorities, where we are on the totem pole in this country and how we'd like to see ourselves in the very near future for our children. If you're not going to prioritize or come together on some sort of priority list and agenda, you're going to have what we've been having politically.
What is that?
Chaos.
Chaos?
Chaos.
Why is it chaos? Are you talking within the Black community or as a whole?
I'm always talking about Black community.
Say less. Okay, so do you blame the leadership?
Not that no one else matters.
No, indeed,
But
indeed.
my people are down bad.
Indeed.
So I got to work out focus on them.
Let me put a pin in that. On this podcast, you never have to. This is a conversation, and this is politics and Black
I
families.
say disclaimers.
No, yeah, no disclaimers. You can.
I don't need like some old aunt calling me up, cursing me out.
It's all good. We all know your heart.
Do without that.
We all know your heart. We all know where you coming from. But let me ask you: do you blame leadership in the community? Do you think our leadership has let us down? And if so, how do we hold them accountable?
God, I mean, unraveling that is really complex, but the community is in disarray because our families are in disarray. That's the short.
Say that again. Look at your camera. Your camera is right there.
Where's my camera?
Go
The
ahead.
community is in disarray because our families are in disarray. There's too many individuals without family structure, and families make communities. So if I have an intact family and you have an intact family, and we can exchange ideas on what's best for both of our families because we have the same thing to lose, or we have the same priorities in which that we want our families to be whole and healthy and connected, then we may put our nuanced individual, wants, needs to the side.
Yeah.
Because we want to see both your collective family and my collective family thrive.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then once we're able to do that and we get into a position of power, then we can start focusing on the stuff everybody else focuses on. I like green, you like red.
Yeah. So are you
the
saying
things that actually don't really matter.
So are you saying the black family needs corrections? We need to correct these things before we move forward. Like, how do we?
I just don't think you can have one without the other. It's kind of like, you have like a leak in a roof, and it's like you keep plugging one, and it keeps.
Yeah.
That's what the black people are doing. It's like everybody's rushing to one leak. You're trying to plug it, then you rush to another leak. You're trying to plug it, and it just keeps coming down because you're not. Yeah. You gotta repair the foundation. You gotta fix that roof.
Yeah.
Then go, to the next part. And raising a black son, a black child. I have an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Mansa Musa.
Yeah. he might bust on it,
He might. I hope he doesn't. But my thought process is that, and I know I'm very familiar with your family, is that it's important to rewire our children. Even if we didn't get it right, it's because we didn't, we had a lot of things that trickled down, trauma that we weren't able, we didn't understand the focus of the family, right?
Yep.
So it's okay to be able to turn to your children and say, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
You made mistakes.
Yeah.
This is what I foresee for you, and here's why.
Yeah.
You don't want to repeat those mistakes because I need you to carry the community into something greater. And so that you can also teach your children. Yeah. So, my thought process is to, when I speak to him now, is that, you're going to be a father. You're going to be a husband first. Yeah. You're going to be a businessman. You're going to do for yourself. You're not going to look for handouts. Yeah. You're going to think for yourself. You're going to, adults, do all those things.
I say adults because, sometimes what I realize is that a lot of us needed the love of our children, so we kept them as children. We didn't help them become adults. Like sometimes what you're going into is a world where you need to be an adult. No matter who you love, no matter what you do, you got to be able to take care of yourself, right? Because, and my family, so I share the same thing, is that, with my daughter, my sons, I say one day I won't be around.
Yeah.
This is the reality. But I can rest in peace if I know you can take care of yourself, right? So I think teaching children how to be adults, how to be independent, how to be resilient, because we all want them to be successful, but these things here keep you durable.
Well, successful varies.
That's facts.
Based on your
That's true.
principles and your values.
That's true.
Right? So do I want Mansa Musa as his namesake to just acquire an extreme amount of wealth?
Yeah.
Not unless his spirit and his righteousness is intact.
Yeah.
Because we see a bunch of these knuckleheads with a whole lot of money. Give a fool a whole lot of money. What do you have?
What's righteousness nowadays? Like, how would you define righteousness?
It's consciousness. For one, it's God consciousness first, knowing that there is something that is governing over you, right? Over your will that you must submit to. Which is going to align a lot of your, speaking from my son, or like as if I'm speaking to my son, which is going to align a lot of his behavior and actions and thought processes. It's going to make him an accountable man. based on what he does, not just in the light, but in the dark, because it's going to cultivate integrity, and it's going to cultivate a self-accusing spirit that also keeps him in line. And those are the things that I feel make you responsible enough to handle wealth, like his namesake Mansa Musa, whom had his righteousness intact, which is why he used the wealth to help the people.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Right? Collapsing the economy, as we just spoke about a little while ago, because he gave out so much of the money to the people.
Yeah.
The money is a beautiful thing to have, but I don't want the mindset to be about just the comforts of this world. Don't deny yourself them if you work to have that, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But I don't want that to be something that he worships.
Understood.
And too many of our youth are looking to acquire fame and wealth to the point that they're worshiping it, and then they get it and lose their mind.
I guess they look at it as if that's what defines a leader, right? So my question to you is, and let's just put it in the political space to be, what defines a good leader? Like, what would be somebody that you would say, that's a good community leader? That's somebody that I could see leading the people.
Well, he has to be wise. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of selflessness. So, in a lot of leadership, my father is an imam as well. They end up, having a hard time.
Shout out Yusuf.
Shout out Iman Ramadan.
I call him Iman Ramadan. I call him Mr. Drop the Jewelry.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty dope. Your family can suffer sometime, because I know, of all the greats, so many of their children have said, their fathers or the leaders, even mothers, have gone out to work for the community, and the children and the family are lacking the nurture that the family may have needed. Mm-hmm. So leadership comes with great responsibility. Mm-hmm. However, we are in need of it.
So if I was to run for office, what would be 2 things for sure I would have to have? Let's just say I was running and let me be very clear. Let's say I was running as a Republican in a Democratic district. What would I have to have for you to say, you got my vote?
Well, you already got my vote, because I know how you think. But
say less. There you go. Hey, no, don't leave me hanging. There you go. Boom.
But,
even better.
The parties are really disturbing right now, just as a whole, the definitions of them, which is why I don't like to ascribe myself to either of them.
Yeah.
I am an independent, and I am a Muslim first, and so which of what they do, I pour through that filter. And I reject what doesn't align with my values. And I accept what does.
Can we stick on values right there? I want to ask you 3 questions around values.
Okay.
This is rapid fire. This is what we call it in the podcast, right? It's like rapid fire.
Okay.
Right? So there's a few things that have happened lately in the political world that I would just like to get your views on. And it could just be yay or nay.
Okay.
Trans rights.
Why are you doing this to me?
What? What happened?
Rights in what way? What do you got to be more specific?
Females playing in female sports.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. Tariffs, using tariffs as a way to build America versus tax revenue.
I think it's a rather aggressive way, and I think that it's more vinegar than it is honey. But it's necessary sometimes. I'm for it in some regions and not in others, if that makes sense.
Removing prayer from schools.
I don't think you can remove prayer from anywhere, even if you asked. You tried. It
Say
can't
that
be
louder.
removed.
Say that louder. Trump said he would like to buy or reinvest in Gaza Strip.
You already know I'm a strong Palestinian supporter, so don't even walk me down that road. Don't do it.
Why are you a Palestinian supporter?
I'm a human rights supporter.
Love it.
So people think that I'm aligned with it because I'm a Muslim, but no, there are very many Palestinian supporters that are Jewish, Christian, and other atheists. In fact, you don't have to believe in God to see right from wrong, and that's it.
And I'm gonna move on after this, but what does "Make America Great Again" look like for Black Americans?
And you already know I changed that slogan in our group text.
What's that slogan?
Make America great one day.
Okay, great one day. All right.
Again, I'm a black person.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, that's fair. This is what we're here for.
I want to not need a DEI. I just want it to be that.
What's your thoughts around that?
I want it to be that we're all Americans, and if you walk up here and you qualified, it's for you. But the reason we needed a DEI is because the fact remains there's racism and bias. So we got to force you to interview a black person. We have to force you to consider
But do you think merit,
our talent.
Do you think blacks have enough value and merit where they don't need any programs? Like they can just they're great as they are?
It's not about the value and merit. It's about we are living in a society that is ran and dominated by white supremacy. It just is. And so if if we've got these Fortune 500 companies and I need a job so I can take care of my family, but you only hiring everybody that looks like you because you don't prefer to deal with someone that looks like me, where does that leave me?
Yeah, there needs to be some adjustments.
Now, again, my Muslim community comes from the Nation of Islam. I'm not in the Nation of Islam. I'm a follower of the Imam W.D. Muhammad, his son, Elijah Muhammad's son. But you already know I'm on a do for self category. We were fine with segregation in that space. We had our own planes, our own supermarkets, our own food, our own farms, our own newspapers. We were like, cool, we cool, you cool, I'm cool.
Yeah, but we
I'm
are
asking you for a job, I'm making my own job.
But we are, because we can have that, but we are interdependent and we need to trade with each other and be
we're
integrated.
in America.
We're united, right?
We're in America. You should not be allowed to only hire who looks like you because of your racism.
Okay.
So there are positivities to DEI.
If I was a transsexual, would that be fine working at your establishment?
Why are you doing that?
What I do? I'm not saying if I showed up in like a mini skirt and I had my breasts done and I wasn't as modest as you would like it, but could I work at your establishment if I had all the skills?
Depends on my establishment. I don't know what establishment you're referring to.
Fresh Hotel.
That's off brand for me. You can find somewhere else to work. I mean, if my dad loves, listen, if you ain't who you are, then you are who you ain't.
Well, let me be very clear.
This
is me just challenging, just pushing it back on you a little bit. And I'm not trying to make a joke about trans rights or anything.
No, not at all. Listen,
like that,
I respect human beings. You have a right. God gave you free will. It's not for me to take that free will from you.
Yeah.
You can live with the way you choose to live.
Yeah, indeed.
What I don't respect is the imposition. I don't want to be, which is, I guess, I just walked into my own trap. I guess that's what they're saying. I don't gotta like black people, and I don't have to hire you.
Yeah.
I don't want to. This is my company.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
I'll take that.
They say talk long enough, they'll show you who they are. So let me ask you this question, and we're gonna wrap this thing up. You are a singer.
Oh my God.
Now, seriously, I really want to know. It's a song that I've been singing all day, and I would like you to sing it I don't know how good your music reference are, if you like a music person like I am. Like, I get deep with this,
you do
right?
know, and you're being funny, you're being silly. You know that I'm a music connoisseur.
So who sings this song?
No one loves music more than me.
I apologize.
Anita Baker.
Can you sing that?
Why?
I want to hear people sing it.
That song?
That's a great song.
I apologize. Oh, believe me, I do. I apologize. Oh, heart stands true, because I know I was wrong, and so I sing you this song.
That's great.
That's all I got.
Clap it up. Wow. She's kind of always on point. And the other day I challenged her to do push-ups, and she actually did it. It was mind-blowing. If y'all ever see...
It was not mind-blowing. If you work out, you can do a push-up. It's not that hard.
She did 10 push-ups, and she did them better than most guys I know that had great formation. But
you owe me $20.
That was $10 bet.
You said $20 for 2 push-ups. Actually, you owe me $100 because I did 10 push-ups.
You made that... Off camera, we'll talk about this.
I want my money. Give me my money.
This is another episode of Politics and Black Families. Before we leave, please let the camera know how you plan on leaving the world better than you found it. And please drop your website, handle the Instagram, where they can find you at Fresh Hotel.
I plan on leaving the world better than I found it through my son, Mansa Musa. He is going to be great. You can find me at the Fresh Hotel That is 2 H's.
There you go. You know what it is. Politics and black families. Peace.